Hey, welcome to the first ever episode of Cooking with Vinnie here. Anyway, my name is Vinnie, and today I'm going to be showing you how to cook an old family recipe. Now, this recipe dates back to the early periods, or last week, something like that. Someone said to me, "Hey, we got lots of cake, but for some reason I heard it as lobster cake." Well, the store didn't have any lobster, so instead of doing lobster, we're going to make it with some imitation crab. So the first step here with any good, lobster cake is you got to get your cake mix. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to follow the instructions. Take some water, which we have in the sink. Take some butter and some eggs. We have all those things. And so we're going to get started by cutting up the butter. So this calls for a third of a cup of butter. So if we look at our butter sticks, they actually have a thing in there that says 1/3 cup. So we're going to cut that. And then after that, we're going to put the remaining piece in the freezer along with another bit of butter. And then we're going to let those chill in the freezer for a bit, get nice and hard and stuff, because we're going to throw them in a blender to make little chunklets of butter to put into our cake. So that's going to be the first thing we do. I'll be back to you in just a minute. Alright, so we cut up our butter. We have our 1/3 of a cup section, and then we have the remainder in another stick. These right here are going to go right into the freezer so they get nice and hard. So that way they blend nicely. They're going to go right there. And the 1/3 of a cup, it calls for softened, so what we're going to do is we're going to take it and just toss it right in the microwave. Ignore it. We're going to let it warm up, get up to nice room temperature. Now, unfortunately, the store did not have any lobster, so we had to go with imitation crab. What we're going to do is we're just going to take that and toss that right in the fridge. Keep it nice and cold until we're ready to cook. So we're going to let the butter go for a little bit. I'm going to say about half an hour or so, just to get nice and hard. And then we're going to get the whole thing started with the actual cake mix. I'll see you then. Alright, so it's been about a half an hour or so. The butter's now, nice and hard. So I'm going to unwrap this. I'm going to cut it up a little bit into small pieces. I'm going to put it in the food processor and get it food processed. Yeah, you'll just see in just a minute. Alright, so butter's all cut up into little pieces. Now we just got to take it and just toss it right in the food processor right here. And we're going to give it a few little zhuzhes. Get it nice and small, about little chunks. And then, yeah, after that, we'll get started on mixing everything together, and finally we'll be baking. So, oh my, this thing's struggling. Huh. Just a minute. Alright, and after your food processor is done struggling a little bit, then you get something kind of like this. I'm going to hit it a few more times just to get some of the bigger pieces down smaller. But the whole key with this is you got to keep it cold, because you want it to stay in chunks when it's going through the whole mixing process and stuff like that. That way you end up with little pockets of butter all over the place, and delish. Anyway, I'm going to do that real quick. And after that, you should end up with a pile of stuff that looks a little bit like, cheese curds and, its consistency and size. Oh yeah, and put your butter back in the fridge whenever you're not using it, just to keep it nice and cold. Right there. Alright, next we're going to actually work on the, getting the cake mix all done together, while the butter's back in the refrigerator again. So first we're going to take, according to the recipe here, you can see we need to first take 3 eggs. So we're going to deposit 3 beautiful fresh eggs right into this cup right here. And we're going to use that to blend the eggs up, make them nice and blended. Two, and then lastly number 3. All right, gonna grab a fork, then do a nice mixy mix. Any way you really feel like doing it, I recommend using a fork, because it doesn't really, it gives a little bit of texture difference within the egg. It doesn't completely mix it up like it would, if you went with like something else. Right, there we go. That, so we're gonna now put into here, we're gonna put our eggs, 3 eggs, boom. We're gonna take our softened butter, that's the stuff that we left in the microwave, 1/3 of a cup. All right, well, this is fun. Doing this one-handed is not easy, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. You know, if you want to get into the school of YouTube. Then a cup. So we need to go grab the measuring cup out of here. And one cup of water. So, and there we go. There's a cup. That goes in there. Boom. Oh, and I almost forgot too. We have to preheat the oven. So we're gonna first make sure that nothing's in there. There's stuff in there. We're gonna get that out of there. And then we're gonna preheat the oven, 350, as per the instructions, 350. All right, clean up your mess. Always be cleaning your mess up as you go. Take your eggs, put them back in the fridge. All right, now we're finally on to the mix, the cake mix. So we're gonna take that, put that right in this bowl. After I get it open. Right. I'm gonna have to come back for this one. All right, there we go. We got our mix in our bowl. Go here. We're gonna take that straight to the stand mixer. You don't need a specific brand of stand mixer, you just need a stand mixer. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that in there, drop the lid down, or the mixer down, then we're going to let it stir. Let it go for a little bit. Now I believe the box here does have a recommended time, and we don't need it. So yeah, we're just going to go till it looks like, you know, pretty good, pretty well mixed cake batter. Then after that, we're going to start adding our other special ingredients after it's nice and thoroughly mixed. But you want to make sure that this is mixed first, just to get that butter all mixed in there. That's why you want to do this often, because it'll mix it all up, get it mixed in. How many times can I say mix in one sentence? You can see in there that there's still some chunks here and there. That's from the third of the cup of butter that we put in there. You're just gonna want to, you know, keep mixing it till that's gone. All right, that's pretty much good to go mixing wise, so we're just gonna really quickly, we're gonna turn it off, stop it, and raise up. And then we're gonna add in the rest of our ingredients. So here we have our chunk style imitation crab meat, because, you know, like I said, it's a lobster cake, except the store didn't have lobster, so I'm just gonna use this instead. And it's important you use the chunk style, because otherwise, I mean, what are you doing here? It has to be chunks. There we go, it's all added in there. Then we can just go grab our butter that we blended up earlier. Looks like cheese curds. Doing this one-handed is fun. Yeah, I'm just gonna put the phone down for a minute. Alright, so we got our imitation crab. We're gonna call it the lobster in there. Then we also got the butter in there. So we're gonna drop this down again, lock it, and mix lightly. You still want to keep that butter as chunks, not as you know. You don't want it to liquefy. You want it to stay as chunks. That way, there's nice little pockets of butter everywhere to get it in with the crab meat or the lobster. So that looks pretty good. You can see the consistency is nice and chunky. That's the way you want it. Alright, so we got our mixed up lobster cake. We got our cake pan right here, so we're just going to quickly take this, and then we're just going to, so this is just some cooking oil, some canola oil. We're just going to spray that right in there. You always want to spray down your stuff before you use it, because otherwise it's going to be a pain in the butt to get it out of there. So then we're just going to take this, and then we're just going to pour it all in there. Oh yeah, look at that. Doesn't that look delicious? Oh. Oh, look at all those chunks. This is going to be so good. Going to be delish. Also, didn't picture it in the video earlier, but the you don't want to let your kid eat the beater for this one, because, you know, eggs, you don't want to mess with them. Salmonella is a real thing, real serious issue. So, you know, don't let your kids lick the beater. Raw eggs, just don't mess with them, man. It's not worth it. There we go. That's most of it. Here, I'm just gonna get all of it with a spatula. Alright, so the oven just finished preheating. It's not going to be exactly up to 350 degrees, as you can see by the thermometer. It takes a little bit longer than that, but, you know, it's fine. It's close enough. So we're just going to give this a little shaky shake, just to get it a little evened out, nice and flat. Get everything a little mixed in there, you know. Then we're just going to take this, and we're going to pause for a minute, because I need to put something in there first. Alright, I highly recommend putting in something big and heavy and metal in there, just to help, you know, disperse the heat a little bit more evenly within the oven. Otherwise, you're going to end up burning the bottom of your lobster cake, and ain't nobody wants that. So now we're just going to take it and put it right in the middle there, like so, and close it up. And then we're going to go for about, I'm going to say, let's go for about, let's say 30 minutes or so. And we'll see you then. Alright, so I lied about it taking about a half an hour. I ended up taking closer to 45 minutes. You know, probably putting in a large metal object in there at room temperature right before I started baking didn't help with that. But it's out of the oven now. You can tell when it's done by take a wooden skewer, and then you just kind of shove it in there, pull it out. If it comes out clean, dry, then you know it's ready to go. So that's what we did. It's good to go. So now it's just sitting on this cooling rack. I'm gonna let it cool down for a little bit. You know. And then we're gonna add some cream cheese frosting to it, and it should be good to go. All right, so I let it cool down for just a little bit. Now, you know, to a temperature that you can touch it without burning the heck out of yourself. And then I flipped it onto a plate out of its cake pan. Next, I'm gonna work on getting some icing on it. So you'll see it then. Alright, if you're following it along at home, I'd recommend waiting for the cake to cool down close to room temperature before you actually start the icing process. Because, you know, as you can see here, it does run a bit if it's too hot. But you know what? I'd call that a pretty well iced lobster cake there. So I'm just going to let it go for a little bit longer, let it come back, cool back down a little bit, get nice and cool, and then we're going to cut into it and see how it tastes. Anyway, yeah, so we'll let it cool down a little bit longer, hit a little bit more icing now, and I think it's ready to go. So we're just going to take my knife here, and we're going to cut into it, as you can see. And then, okay, go ahead and just give it a little, there we go. Use your knife just to, and okay, let's see. So it looks pretty good. Looks like a pretty good cake, you know, pretty standard. I guess we'll give it a try, see how it goes. I need a little bit more. I mean, it's not bad. You know, this is actually pretty good. It's you know, I feel like the idea I had the butter chunks in there, it didn't really work out. I feel like they just kind of melted and added more butter in the cake. But honestly, pretty dang good. Yeah, I'll try making it again. It's pretty good. Pretty darn good. And in case you're wondering, yes, I actually did finish the plate.